All right, so back again, this time looking at Silver 3 Sylas in the mid lane. Um, Something important to understand about Sylas that he's a very versatile champion. A lot of people do see him as one-dimensional, especially after all of the reworks and the Dust Cloud settled with Riot, and now a lot of his damage, a big chunk of his combo damage, comes from landing that E2. And people say like, oh, well, if you hit the E2, you basically auto win the game, and yeah, unfortunately, because the way the damage numbers work, that is kind of the case. That being said, I think that there's a lot of flexibility in the champion that people aren't talking about. A- And maybe, at the highest levels, maybe some of these things aren't like super optimal. And maybe people have figured out like the truly best things for him. But Silver 3, I mean, this place is a lawless wasteland. You got the fucking Wild West down here in Silver 3. So I think we can experiment a lot and benefit from taking the mindset that Silence is a versatile champion, playing him today in the mid lane into the Vigar. You want to talk about a one-dimensional champion? That's Vigar, man. AP Nassus. So go ahead and start this video. It takes a minute or two to load in. Someone's playing on their Samsung smart fridge. Shit, I wasn't going to say brand names. Well, Samsung, you have to pay me now because I mentioned your name and advertised your fridge to my 6 YouTube followers. And on the topic of brand names, I'm currently drinking a root beer, and I'm not going to tell you who, what company made this root beer because they're not sponsoring me. But Barks Root Beer is the best root beer, and if you disagree, you're wrong. Uh, so Barks, please sponsor me. I have like 6 YouTube subscribers. That basically makes me famous. Um, Fleet footwork on Sylas into the Vigar. I don't know if I like that too much. It implies a passive play style. Fleet footwork is very rarely able to be utilized as an offensive thing. There are some cases where the additional sustain allows you to take additional trades, but Sylas has so much built-in sustain with his W anyways. And Vigar is a champion who's most commonly going to be hitting the minions. He wants to farm his Q at early levels. So I don't particularly like the decision to go fleet footwork, but it could just be at default like a knee-jerk response to any ranged into or any melee into ranged matchup. I think I would like to see electrocute more though, or if not electrocute, if you want to keep precision as your primary tree, you can take Conqueror. Conqueror is totally fine. Oh, one thing I got to do is mute this video because I have to listen to Sylas voice lines the entire game. I'm going to retrograde to a 16-year-old edgelord like I used to be. So I watched this video once before making this video. I watched some of the gameplay. The player in question here asked me to help him out with lane mechanics, so macro, micro, and then decision making around objectives. So I'm going to just be trying to focus on those specific things. I want to start tailoring videos to what people want me to be talking about rather than what I want to be talking about. Uh, Playing into the Shaco, I guess the early ward on Raptors is fine, but I would rather just see the early ward on the buff so you know exactly what time you finished it. Starting E level 1 is very good. Sylas level 1 is actually very strong. Like being able to get 2 stacks of your passive and all the chain damage that comes with it. It is a lot of burst damage level 1, and that's how Sylas is going to win this, is by a lot of aggression before Vigar gets rolling. So, for example, like right here, in this instance, uh, like in this scenario, you know that Vigar, however the fuck you say it. I've never actually known. I've been playing for a long time. I never figured it out. He's going for this minion, so you actually don't want to stand behind this minion because you know that the Q is going to go through it. So something better is probably standing off to the side, probably somewhere like over here. However, I think that I understand that you don't want to shade this side of the lane because you're saying, okay, well, Shaco's probably starting red, and if he's going to come mid or something, if he's looking for a gank right now, I don't want to be on that side of the lane. And that's a perfectly reasonable thing to think. So if you are assessing that Shaco's on the bottom side looking to gank mid right now, you can just play off to here because you know at 149 into the game, Shaco hasn't had enough time to clear a red and then make any sort of like weird play to wrap around river and just be sitting in this brush. So you know that you're completely fine to play up in this position. And now you're giving Vigar a hard choice already at level 1. You're asking him, well, do you want to queue the minion or do you want to cue me? And if you throw it at me, you might miss. And by the way, I have a great trading tool level 1, and you don't. So even if he hits you with Q, your E with your double auto attack is just going to deal more damage. And the fleet footwork is also going to help with some of the minion harass that you'll take, like following that, as you speed right back out. So this is one of these instances where fleet footwork is supposed to be an offensive thing. You lean on it for the additional sustain. Sylas doesn't need it, but at level 1, you don't have your healing tool yet. So your best form of sustain is that fleet footwork. You have to be using it constantly. It's got to be a focus, especially because just like objectively as the game goes on, it gets harder and harder for Sylas to do anything against a Vigar with proper positioning and uh, team fighting tactics and all of that stuff. Not to be confused with the somewhat popular mobile game Team Fight Tactics made by Riot Games. Riot Games, if you see this, please sponsor me. I just plugged your mobile game. I don't even play it. I got like 6 YouTube subscribers, basically famous. This is really good for Sylas. Just freeze the wave right here. So Sylas's biggest problems, like although he can be a lane bully early, he actually just really wants to get to a position where he can hit 6 and really team fight and skirmish. Like these are his areas. It's important to note for any viewers here that the Sylas is duo with the Sejuani, but from the gameplay footage I watched, there wasn't a lot of coordination between the two. So it's not just set up a tent in mid lane and win the game. Sejuani didn't really play that way at all. So here as Sylas, I'm just going to freeze. It forces Vigar to come forward. And obviously, we see already, like, Vigar's not even walking far enough forward to auto-attack the minions. He's throwing Q, not at, like, absolute max range, but for intensive purposes, he's throwing it at max range. He's outside of his auto-attack range. He's not stepping into his wave. He doesn't want to play this game that's going on right now. And this is completely because the wave is in an awful state for Vigar. Um, Anytime you have the wave, like, in this box, this is just fantastic if you're playing the melee into ranged matchup, and if they can't reliably harass you early. There are some matchups where getting caught in this box just means you're going to constantly get pushed in and poked under your tower. But Vigar's not one of these cases. He really does need some time to get going with his passive stacks. All this is fine. Vigar's uncomfortable. He's having to burn a lot of mana to shut the wave. I guess Q is off cooldown, or rather on cooldown, so maybe going for a trade there is suboptimal. Here's really like the only time we really see the Sejuani look for a play with the Sylas, at least that I noticed initially when I watched it. There's no reason to throw E2 here so early. So let's go back and look at this. Okay, you don't need to do anything here. You just need to walk them in, and even if you never even use your other E2, it's completely fine. It's totally fine. Uh, yeah, just walk them in because now we miss. Yeah, we look like an asshole because we had so much time left before we could E2 again. A little bit there. I'm going to hold that and keep the freeze going. No reason to shove here. I mean, Vygar just burned his flash, right? So Vygar burns his flash. Sejuani loops back around in here, comes back around, just repeats the same gank. You know that Shaco's top side, but Shaco was like half HP. Sejuani's half HP, but Sylas has way more resources than Vygar does right now. And Sylas still has a flash to commit. So Vygar sits back, plays like a bitch, and chugs a pot, and then makes the mistake of stepping up to the wave because the wave's frozen. So the next wave shoves into this line, and then Sejuani, in the meantime, just goes ahead and wraps around. If I'm Sylas here, I actually leave the freeze because it looks like Sejuani's going for crab. So with 3 minions on the line, I actually just leave them here because that's not going to be enough to crash into the tower. I hold the wave and then I just go off here. I don't even bother trying to kill the minions. And then the wave is frozen for me, which is very nice because I lose a minimal amount of minions and wave state for me to just come back after I help Sejuani secure the crab. Yep. Flash E is fine. And now we're just going to dominate the lane. The lane is just over for Vygar now. Oh, the lane's so over. Double buff Sylas on a Vygar. I mean, the lane's just over. And now, like, I wouldn't even bother shoving. Like, this is already kind of botched because I guess, like, if you consider the minion crash line somewhere, like, right here, which means that this is going to slow push into Vygar. I'm thinking about the amount of time that the buffs will be active. I'm also thinking about what wave is this? Is this a cannon wave? I'm not sure. It is a cannon wave. I guess it's not the end of the world to slow push. So you slow push these 3 minions, you slow push this, and then this wave won't crash the tower before the next wave shows up. You clear the next wave, so you're basically stacking like 2.5 waves. Crash 2.5 waves, recall, come back here, and then you can teleport back on the wave. And then you still have double buffs. You've used teleport, but you still have double buffs, and it's shoved under tower, and Vygar is already at half resources, so he's going to have even less because he's going to be using them to try to hit the wave. And I'm not sure what summoner spell Vygar has, if it's teleport or not, but if it is teleport, he'll have to burn it just to get back to lane and handle the pressure that you're able to exert from that position. And if it's not teleport, then I mean, he's just going to lose too much. We need to be going through the wave here too. Like, what's the counterplay to this? When Vygar drops his debut in this area, what can he really do? Look at these resources. He maybe like has enough for, I don't know his mana cost. He's got a little bit over 100 mana, so maybe that's EQ at most. But then he's dead empty on mana. So I have double buffs right now with fleet footwork as well. Yeah, I'm not even letting him last hit this. I'm gonna basically threaten, stand outside of the wave, right around here, and I'm just gonna threaten him and not let him get this, and just push him into this alcove or under his tower. He doesn't get anything from this position. And when he walks up that far, oh, I'm going on him for sure with E. Do get a nice little trade there. Takes tower shot. A little bit of fancy footwork. But now we see here, that's the extent of Vygar's abilities. Like, he got a Q, he got an E, maybe he got a second Q on the end, I'm not sure. But that's it. He's got nothing now. Getting a little bit hasty there with those tower shots. If you weren't, then you would have a little bit more HP and you could go help the invade with Sylas, or not Sylas, fucking Sejuani, because Sejuani's taking like a romp through the enemy jungle right now, and you would be able to be there for that if you didn't take that extra tower shot. As it is, recalling is fine. I like teleporting here, honestly. Wait, did you press tab? There it is. Okay, so Vygar does have teleport. So Vygar should teleport back to lane right now. You don't know that if he will, but you know if you teleport on the wave right now, then he teleports on the wave, because if he doesn't, you just set up a freeze. Because now the minion crash line's on his side of the lane. And this slow pushes Dio. I'm not going to shove this because it's slow pushing Dio. The whole point is you want the minion wave to hold in somewhere in the spot where I marked earlier. Somewhere in here, you want the minion wave to hold to force Vigar to come up. Why? Because Vigar has no escapes. And Vigar might have his flashback by now, but actually, 5 minutes 39 seconds. Vigar still doesn't have a flash. So Vigar doesn't have a flash. You have fleet footwork. You have uh, another gap closer here. So something about fleet footwork that people don't think about is that it does give you a move speed burst when you proc it. So you can use that move speed burst to initiate a trade, since W is a mini gap closer in and of itself. At the very least, you can use the speed burst to like run fast, like run forward quickly. Vigar has no way to get a speed burst, so he has to drop his E immediately, or when he thinks that you're going to get to him. Basically, he has to drop his E, especially if you throw E1, then he has to drop his E, and then you just leave. So you're just playing the mono sustain game with him, and you're able to do that because you have Lost Chapter. Shoving here doesn't get you anything. The only thing that it would like, so Prio and mid lane. Let's talk about Prio and mid lane. I know that I'm going to cover like a variety of topics here, so I apologize if it seems a little bit disjointed. I drink some of my brainless root beer. I would love a root beer sponsorship for life. For Barks, just saying, 6 YouTube subscribers. Barks root beer for life. I mean, not that that's my personal opinion, although it is my personal opinion. So the only thing that you get out of mid lane priority here is the Scuttle Crab, if it's up right now. I'm not sure if it's up right now, but it appears to be. So if Sejuani is on topside jungle, perhaps clearing this camp and just pathing towards this thing, then we gain mid lane priority so that we can roll top. The only other reason that we roll top is if, for example, Xin Zhao has the wave in a very favorable spot and Fiora is extended up in top lane, because Fiora also has no form of escape, really. So we can gain priority in mid and then just walk up to top and gank. Do I really want to go bottom with Sylas at level 5? Nah, not really. I'm not saying that you can't get some stuff done. It's okay. It's just really team reliant, and you don't have a lot of tools down here. Once Sivir hits level 6, obviously that helps you a lot. If Lux can hit a good bind, maybe, but I don't know. I'm not seeing too much here in the way of that. So there's just no real reason to have priority in the mid lane right now. You're not going anywhere with it. And the only thing that you're really doing is inviting Vigar to hold a push wave somewhere where you're going to then be susceptible to a Shaco gank. So that's all you're doing with this action. It's not too passive again. Like we trade on him right here. As soon as you last hit this cannon, boop. Okay. Where's Vigar right now? Oh, interesting. But you can E1 through here, and then you can just E2 straight on him. You actually have a straight shot. And you hit 6 off of that minion, so you're stealing a Vigar ult. So you're getting a fat fucking trade on him and then just throwing his ult on his head just to force him to back, which gets his teleport out, which allows you to get priority for the things I just mentioned. Sun Zhao and Fiora in the center of the lane. Sejuani not doing anything, but Sejuani's on bottom side of the map, which means Dragon's an option if you push Vigar out. Bot lane is healthy, even though Lux is low resources, so with no Vigar, what exactly? And this is control ward, so you know that there's not even a ward in the pit for Vigar to teleport to. So you'd have to teleport to a really awkward spot and like run into the fight, but that's not Vigar's way at all. Stop using your mouse to level up abilities. Also, something that I noticed, and I forgot to bring it up sooner in the video. So this is currently W max Sylas. based on how you played this matchup, I don't like the W Max. And the reason is this. I think W Max Sylas is amazing into melee matchups because it allows Sylas to really bully people. That burst healing is insane, but you're not fighting the Vigar. Like you're not really doing anything. You're not exerting pressure. There's so many times like already we've seen, hey, we can dash to the wave. Level 1, we can fight. We can set up a freeze. Level 3, level 4, we can force Vigar to come to us. This allows us to engage onto him. Like that's the entire point. And so while I think that taking at least 2 points in W is principled because the additional healing that you get just from having it at early levels, nice. Just in situations where you do get into those river skirmishes, obviously the synergy between Sylas and Sejuani is really nice. Um, Sejuani with any melee champion will get to those E procs a little bit faster, and Sylas gets an attack speed buff by casting his abilities. That's super nice. There's a lot of opportunity for 2v2 potential or invade potential between Sylas and Sejuani. Really great synergy, a great duo there. So I'm not opposed to taking a second point in W at maybe level 4, because you would have gotten the second point at level 8 regardless. And the reason I say that is based on how you've played this matchup, which is mostly farm oriented, and you haven't really wanted to interact with the Vigar. I actually say that you should probably be maxing Q in this matchup. Um, Now, Q might sound a little bit troll to a lot of people, especially since most of the damage is in the E. And I didn't look at the numbers prior to starting this video. I thought to myself that I should, and then I decided, oh, fuck it. I only have 6 YouTube subscribers. Nobody's going to watch this anyways. So here's my logic with this. Q gives you wave control, where E really doesn't. It gives you 2 stacks of your passive, but taking additional points in E isn't going to ramp up your passive damage. So while it does give you some ability to shove the wave harder, it's not nearly as much as Q. Now, since you're playing a farm-oriented style anyways, and you've demonstrated multiple times that you're going to shove the wave rather than not shove the wave, try to set up a freeze and open up opportunities for your jungler, or try to outplay in the 1v1, you just want the ability that's going to shove the wave quicker. So while I'm not opposed to getting 2 points in W just for the increase in healing, and even taking that second point of W at level 4, I say that you just go Q all the way to level 9 at that point. So 5, 7, 8, 9, you would just get points in Q. Yeah, that's probably all I'm going to say about that. If you're not going to look to constantly be fighting and constantly be scrapping and taking advantage of that additional healing that W actually gives you, there's no reason to be taking these points of W. Just take the thing that's going to give you the wave clear. At this point, yeah, shoving the wave is probably appropriate because it's slow pushing, and this is the problem, just asking to be ganked. Engage on him right now. He's standing still to throw an auto attack. He's not allowed to do this. This is your E1 range, like right here. Or maybe, maybe a little bit shorter. Uh, just in the interest of fairness. Maybe like here is your E1 range. You force a flash or an E out of Vigar whenever you do this. So just go for it, man. You're taking these additional points in W. The whole point is to trade. You have this all. If you end up, actually being able to get the E2, or if he doesn't respect or anything like that, if you're able to get here, I don't know. You have full fleet footwork, so if you can get here, auto a minion as he runs backwards, get the speed burst, close the gap with W, and then land your E2 or something. I don't know. Like the combo I'm talking about looks like this, by the way. E1, auto attack into W, into E2. Because W basically places you right on their head. So if you W and just E2 straight into it. And this auto attack consumed one of the stacks, and now you're here. So now you can go into auto attacks or Q, whatever you want to do at this point. You have all your cooldowns, you're full HP, still have potion, have basically infinite mana. I don't know, man. You gotta take these trades. Gotta take these trades. Like Vigar will get to the point where, like, if you fuck up, like, and you run into his E, he'll just QWR you and you're dead, like, with no counterplay at all. You'll never get to touch him. So you need to get yourself ahead in this matchup. Really nice kill up on top. A little bit of hesitation on that. I like the idea. I do like the idea. So it looked like the auto attack went through on the minion. I'm not sure. If you were trying to auto attack there, I wouldn't. And my game sense kind of tells me, and this is something that you have to develop over time, you have to have some hidden timer in your head that's basically telling you when the next wave is going to arrive, especially on these champions like Sylas, where their main damage or gap close or whatever ability, like the thing you want to start your trade with, when that thing stops at the first enemy it encounters. It's like some things pass through enemies, like Nico's E will pass through enemies, so she doesn't really need to care about when the wave is coming. As a matter of fact, her E gets stronger when it goes through a minion, so it's completely okay for her to like throw it out there. But for things like Morgana, for example, that bind is so integral to her kit, just as Sylas E2 is so integral to his kit. You need to be consciously thinking about, hey, when's that next wave going to be here? And if you do that, I think that you know that you got to throw that E2 immediately in this case, so that you don't get slapped with the minion there. But we see the point here, and even now, I'm not allowing Vigar to walk back into the lane after this. Like, okay, I walk out. This is fine, but now look where he's pathing right here. He's actually going to go in here and probably drop like a ward over the wall or something. I don't know. Maybe he's warding the brush. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's fearful of another Sejuani gank. But as soon as I see him walk so far out, I'm actually just going to go through the minion wave here and path this way. I know that I don't have E right now, but as long as I can just slow the trade down and make him at least hesitate and think about coming back into the lane, maybe I can burn 5 seconds. Or even by the time like you would even get to the point where you're fighting, maybe the cooldown is only 3 seconds or something. Maybe I can stall out that 3 seconds. I'm trying and I'm willing to sacrifice getting hit by an ability or two just to, because I have my W. Like, man, if I can just land that W on him, I'll heal back up all the damage that I took out of the trade. It's completely fine. And this is like the whole thing about W Max. You need to be doing this. Otherwise, the farming is actually pretty solid. The last hits, pretty solid. One thing I noticed. Don't use your mouse to level up abilities. The wave's shoving, so I don't know why you like walked halfway back to your tower. Like you got to shove the wave out. Well, you don't have to anymore because Vigard just gave you the wave. Come. Same thing. I'm going to try to freeze this. Vigard's only half mana. He probably doesn't want to stay there longer than he has to. I'm going to try to freeze. Yep, this is good. Don't be afraid of seeing your HP get to that value. If you can just land the W, you'll get it all back. Not a big deal. Don't really like the Q there though. The whole point of freezing is to freeze. I like sitting still. I would also like chugging a potion, trade on him. He's not allowed to walk back through here. This right here says to me that he does not respect you. As soon as he leaves, he goes off here in the fog of war to do whatever it is that Vigar does. Basically, what he said is, you know what? I want to divorce Sylas. The lane has been, it was good while it lasted, but I think that it's time for both of us to be mature, respectable villains and anti-heroes, and go our separate ways. And I want to make this. I know this is sudden, because there's no reason for me to leave my lane in the middle of my lane for no reason, and I know that that's a surprise for me to drop it on you. And I want to make this transition for you as easy as possible. So I'm gonna give you the house, and just please just sign the paperwork so that we don't have to go to court. And you're like, okay, you know, it's my house. I'll farm some minions. I'll sit here. And then Vigar shows back up, and he says, "Oh, and by the way, I'm taking the kids." And you say, "Okay, you can have the kids. Do you want my dog too? I'm gonna just sit here in this house that you left me." Oh, there you go. You just broke my favorite vinyl record on your way out with that cue. But the whole point of this is when Vigar disappears, we have Reign of the Wave. But we play to the side he disappeared on. Why? Because we can escape anyways. We can escape anyways. We have sustain anyways. Doesn't matter if we take some damage or Shaker shows up as long as we don't insta die. It's not a big deal. And by the way, Shaco is probably topside right now. I don't know where he is, but he probably is up there somewhere. If we play a little bit more forward, when he gets into this position, we throw E. We consider using Flash because he's quite far away from his tower right now. We really consider using Flash. If we started chugging a potion a second ago, we'd be a little bit more healthy. There's a lot of opportunities that open up when you start to look for those aggressive trades or that aggressive mindset. Like, hey, if you leave the lane, this is my lane, and you're not allowed back into it. But this is all pretty standard. Looks like you're probably just going to base after this because you're only half HP. Yep. And I don't like basing right here against a Shaco. Where's my pen? There it is. I don't like basing right here against a Shaco. I'm going to go back behind my tower so that the true sight can make sure that I'm not stopped or that I have an opportunity to outplay if he goes for the dive. Yep, never mind. It wasn't the point of the video where you decided to base. Now I look like an asshole. We're going to clear the camp. All of this is fine. We're going to skip ahead a little bit because I'm not going to talk about like how to kill the fucking Rift Herald. Oh, you based right here though, and that's a problem. So you need to actually come back and catch the wave, and this is like one of the reasons that teleport is so valuable because you can do things that you otherwise shouldn't be able to do. So you actually need to run back. These two minions are almost certainly going to die, and then another minion is going to die. But you come back and you get two minions out of the wave. So Vigar probably got six. You get two. Shit. Vigar probably got six, and you get two. But thing is that the next wave is going to crash and you're actually going to go up that wave. So now you have 8 minions, and Vygar still has 6, and minions are dying to the tower. So he has to get back in time to save this. And as soon as you clear that, you're going to go behind your tower and base at the true site. Everything I just said stands true, and then you just teleport back to lane. And that's how to neutralize. Like, you can use your teleport to get to an objective, or you can also use your teleport to do a stupid macro play after you've taken an objective. Spending a little bit too much time in the shop there. Got fucking Boris. It's Cyber Monday. Now you've just lost like so many minions, man. Unfortunate. And not only have we missed some, but Vygar's just gotten an opportunity to get so many more minions and basically to hold you up in the lane, force you to clear that wave. He could be anywhere right now. You don't know where he is. I don't really like that pink ward. Um, Typically, if you're going to do these types of things, you put it in a little bit better of a spot. Uh, Typically, you try to go for like the corner or the corner. I think I think you're trying to set up for dragon right now or something. Like you're trying to prep some in advance. But you could even just go the dot brush on the bottom side. And you see Shaco and top river right now. Now this is a little bit scary because you saw Shaco and top river right now and you don't see him anymore, so there's something to that. And nice, you gotta burn your flash. Here's the thing though, I actually don't think that you have to burn your flash. I think that you could play this a little bit better. So, all right, you have all. Here's the wall. Can you just Shaco ult over it? Or no, Shaco ult doesn't give the hop, does it? Or does it? I think it does. I'm not sure if it does or not. Hmm. Maybe it doesn't. Yeah, maybe you got a flash here. I don't know. Maybe you got a flash. Thankfully, your jungler is here. Bail you out. Oh, this is nice. Oh yeah, there's something funny here. Like the clone dies, and then you both just kind of like you're hitting it. Like man, don't just let the box shoot at you for free, man. You gotta have some spine. You gotta tell her if you want the fucking kids, you're gonna have to take me to court. Yeah, I'm actually not opposed to hard shoving this wave and then going top. I'm also not. I mean, it's tough because Dragon's about to be up. I was going to say I'm not opposed to like hard shoving the wave and then teleporting top, but you probably don't do that when Dragon's spawning soon. Also, just as a point of contention, stop throwing your Q forward whenever you're using that to get the extra auto proc. Throw it behind you like you do the E, just in case. Like it's stupid, but you never know. It might happen to hit somebody. I don't know. Might come into your range. I disagree with that last couple of auto attacks on the tower because you weren't going to get plate gold for it anyways, so you pretty much wasted your time. So here you're going back. It looks like your team's already kind of winning a team fight. And you can just teleport straight into this. Not like directly into the fight, but yeah, into the pit. That's fine now. Now, if I'm you, I just tank the dragon for Sejuani and I pop my potion. could have played this a little bit more aggressively. So here, let's take a look at the information we have. We know that Lux has been kind of zoning off the Vigar, and Vigar is probably going to return to lane after this because Kai'Sa's already shoved the wave into the tower. It's not like Vigar has any good reason to go bottom. It's probably not going to happen, right? So Vigar is probably going to go back to mid lane, and from his position, only like the quickest way back to mid lane is to just go right through his jungle. But because you're Sylas and you can go over walls, and you have some vision where he's at, I would actually try to make a play instead of just running out of the pit like this. I would actually go to the end of the pit here and try to get an over the wall play. Because you're massive. You just finished your item. You're super strong right now. Instead, we go for bot lane. The whole reason that I don't like this, though, as far as a macro decision, I think that you look to go after the Vigar. Number one, this wave is shoving quite fast in mid lane. That looks like a pretty fat wave. It looks like two waves stacked up, killing like one of your waves right now. So that's going to go, and then you're going to lose two waves, and potentially the reinforcing third wave to your tower, and that's a lot of golden XP for a potential kill on Kai'Sa. Yeah, you'll probably get it because you have 2-level lead, but is killing the level 8 Kai'Sa going to win you the war? I don't know, man. I don't think so. I don't think so. And you're going to have to contend with Vigard coming in as backup, too. I mean, like there's that dynamic duo, like the Sejuani Sylas. You end up getting the kill. Okay. It actually looks like I was completely wrong with the direction of the push here. It looks like your minions fucking found a way to win the risk battle here. I'm not entirely sure how that happened because according to the minimap it shouldn't have, but RNG is a bitch. So you got lucky and Vigar immediately shows up and shoves the wave right back into you. I'm gonna freeze. There's no reason for Zinzao to really be in his jungle right now, and if he dies 1v2 to the Shake of Fiora, that's kind of his fault. Thresh Vigar rotating over there too. There's no reason to clear the wave unless you're assessing that they're going to just 4-man Nayram afterwards. That's fine, but otherwise, yeah, there's no real reason to do that. Jesus Christ. Does he actually live? Oh boy. I'll get in there. Thresh's ult actually has a decent AP ratio. I think it's like 40% or something like that. Get in that. You got WX, man. Like, what are you going to do? You just basically wasted your ult because you're not going to use the fucking threshold anytime else. Might as well try to fight it. I mean, the Andres is a super strong item. And, they just use cooldowns to kill the Zinzao, so that's your best chance for sure. But I think you could have done it anyways, especially if we played the way that I suggested earlier on in the game. Because we would have just been, wow, we would have been so far ahead of the Vigar. There's no way that it could have gone any other way. At this point, it's like clearly done with the waning phase. I'm just going to try to look and see if there's other objectives. So I was asked to take a look at the decision making around the objectives. So Zinzassel is the Rift Herald. Not really sure what's going on here. Looks like the dragon might be about to spawn, but you have full vision and presence in their jungle. So obviously taking the dragon is correct. Taking the blue buff is fine. Are we setting up for Baron? Because we don't really have any vision to do so. I would use my E to kill that thing quicker. Like, it feels nice to have it up and everything, but this is such a dangerous mission that you want to kind of kill that as quick as possible. That probably feels like a wasted ult again. I don't know. Looks like we got a bit of the Silver 3 Nayram right now. Yep, using the box to kill minions. Feels good, man. I know that when I get famous one day, fucking somebody is gonna find a way to watch this video, and they're gonna call me stupid idiots for saying that Thresh Box actually damages minions. So for the record, I know that it does not. Jesus Christ. Wait, he actually lives. Okay. And there's no real decision to be made. There's no Baron fights or anything like that. So it's hard for me to speak around the decision making around objectives. I didn't really get to see a lot of decision making around objectives. A lot of what happened seemed okay in that regard, but the lane micro and the macro. So when do we take trades, and how do our rune choices play into it, and um, what are our relative strengths and weaknesses in the ranged or in the melee versus ranged as a Sylas into a Vigar? How do we take advantage of our relatively stronger early game? What does our skill order play into all of these things? Yeah, I think this is a great game. Was a great game to talk about all the rest of it. Just can't really speak too much about the decision making around objectives. It seemed okay though. So there's that. Anyways, probably about time to call this. So see ya.